Hello, and welcome to the PowerPoint presentation of Computer Forensics, an investigation of FTK Imager and Mac Marshall. In this PowerPoint, I will be very briefly discussing two of the forensic tools that forensic investigators utilize when attempting to examine the contents of a computer's hard drive. The first forensics tool that I will be discussing is Forensic Toolkit, FTK for short, Imager. The second tool I will be discussing will be Mac Marshall. Both of these products' capabilities will be discussed knowing that the examiner is working with a Windows computer as his workstation, and that he is using the forensics tools to rifle through the data that has come from a Macintosh computer. Before I begin, however, I'd like to discuss the overall purpose of these tools. As technology advances, people's dependence on it advances as well. Therefore, it is not surprising to discover that computers have become a hub of sorts for crimes. Law enforcement and investigators struggle to catch up with the massive growth in technology. Their search is aided by forensic tools, two of which, as I have said, I'm going to be discussing today in this PowerPoint. I am focusing directly on the acquisition of Macintosh data simply because the tools that are available for the investigators are lagging behind the tools for the Windows environment. Why the lag? Windows machines have been, for the vast majority of their short lives, more popular and the dominant machine in both business and home environments, and the market and technology have adjusted accordingly. Now, however, as Macs sprint their way into the competition block, the examiners have been forced to scramble to find programs that will analyze the foreign data. Also, please note it is extremely important that a forensic tool access data without changing a single bit on the computer. If there is indeed a change, then the evidence can easily be thrown out of court under the charge that whichever examiner investigated the material added the incriminating evidence after the evidence was seized. Bottom line, the evidence must be preserved. Forensic Toolkit is capable of providing two options that display a hard drive's validity. One of those options is taking the message digest 5 hash, or the MD5 hash. The MD5 hash is a 128-bit signature, and every hard drive has a different one depending on the arrangement of bits. The chances for collision, or having the same signature, especially after altering the computer's bits, is extremely small. FTK Imager is also capable of providing a SHA-1 hash, which serves the same function, but its signature is 160 bits, which leaves an even smaller chance for collision. The image at the bottom here displays multiple MD5 hashes, which are written out as 32 hexadecimal characters in the second column from the left. In 2009, Access Data released a new version of FTK Imager. With the release came a series of improvements that greatly assisted forensic investigators in their search for incriminating data in two ways. For one, it gave the examiners access to data that they hadn't been able to view before, and secondly, it cut down the amount of time needed to find essential information. For instance, FTK Imager can now process emails of Apple programs, such as Apple's own mail client, as well as others such as Thunderbird and Notes. Previously, FTK Imager hadn't been able to recognize email files as anything but normal files. That is, they wouldn't be categorized into their own section as they are now, but instead they would just be left in the data unrecognized for the examiners to find after hours of investigation. This process has cut down the amount of time required for a case immensely, especially since so much incriminating evidence these days is sent within emails. FTK Imager is also now able to read plist files, a feat that is extremely helpful. The information that is stored in the plist files is user settings and settings in Apple's application data as well. This is extremely beneficial for many things, but most of all, for the investigations of Safari's cache. Safari is Apple's personal internet browser, and its cache had been stored as a plist file. Being able to read the cache is very helpful in dealing with cases. If a criminal has cleared his browser history, an examiner is able to investigate the cache, which holds the URLs as well as images that were saved directly to the hard drive as a result of merely viewing the website. The cache potentially holds massive amounts of data and information. FTK Imager can also search through a file's metadata, another major improvement. Metadata tells a large amount about a piece of evidence, such as a file or an email. In the metadata is information about the evidence, creation date, what kind of file a file was originally, and so forth. So, if the criminal tries to adjust the creation date or attempts to change a Word document into a JPEG file, the metadata will point out the deception. And now on to Mac Marshall. Mac Marshall, however, is not capable of performing as many actions that FTK Imager can perform, but it possesses some qualities that FTK Imager does not support in the slightest. First off, it analyzes the data of Mac Spotlight searches. Spotlight is a program built into Mac computers that, when a term is entered into a search bar, will search through the entire computer's files in order to return what the computer's closest matches to the search term, a Google search, if you will, of all of the computer's contents. Being able to analyze the most frequent searches, seeing which pages the criminal search for frequently, and things like that should be of tremendous help, hinting to the examiner where he should start looking for evidence if he has no idea whatsoever. FTK Imager, unfortunately, does not have this capability, and it is a great loss. Mac Marshall is also capable of analyzing Apple's iCloud settings. The iCloud has the capability of synchronizing data, from documents to music, on both a Macintosh and a Windows computer with other devices that attach to the iCloud, such as the iPod Touch or the iPhone or the iPad. Though this option may not provide immediate data, such as stolen credit card numbers, it may provide information or at least clues and evidence for the forensic investigator to follow. As mentioned in the previous topic, through iCloud, iPods and iPhones are able to share and exchange data with computers. Mac Marshall provides a fantastic analysis of every single iPod and iPhone that has ever been connected to the Macintosh computer by asking iTunes to tell Mac Marshall how it has edited the iPods that have been attached to it. Considering iPods and iPhones can contain incriminating evidence, such as documents and media files, this option is delightful. This option is also something that FTK Imager cannot do. Indeed, the FTK Imager was created before the iCloud even came into existence. Both FTK Imager and Mac Marshall are capable of providing some bits of information to the investigators. The information is crucial in both programs. That is, neither program relates information that is more important than the other. Each program does, however, tell the investigator mostly entirely different bits of information about a hard drive, with some information crossing over, such as both programs' ability to read plist files or to read some Macintosh-formed metadata, or both programs' ability to read Macintosh-based mail applications or programs. Neither program is better than the other. In fact, law enforcement almost needs to utilize both programs to obtain needed information from a computer's hard drive. And that is where the problem rests for the forensic investigation of Macintosh data. Most computers are geared towards analyzing only Windows data, and the criminals may slip by as the Macintosh data field waits to be analyzed. There are still some bits of information that can't be analyzed by Windows computers. So, in all, there is no all-conclusive program that can analyze the entire hard drive of a Macintosh computer on a Windows machine. There needs to be, though. It is only a matter of time before technology can catch up. A question, however, should be asked. Can the forensic technology growth keep up with the Mac technology growth? For instance, Mac Marshall can investigate the data written by recently opened items on the Mac hard drive, but only up through Apple's Snow Leopard, which is a system behind what is on the market now. Also, Mac Marshall can only analyze the cache from Safari versions 2 and 3. We are currently on version 5. As you can see, there is no all-inclusive, up-to-date tool. So, in conclusion, In this PowerPoint, I have briefly touched on multiple subjects. First, I have mentioned the important traits of a forensic tool. Secondly, I have mentioned the functions of FDK Imager, from its copying abilities to its analyzing capabilities. Thirdly, I have mentioned the capabilities of Mac Marshal, from analyzing spotlight searches to reporting on the iPads or iPhones that have been connected to the computer. Lastly, I have mentioned some downfalls of this great technology. For more information on the subjects mentioned in this PowerPoint, please visit the website conveniently listed on this slide. For even more information, please venture to any of these links listed below. Thank you.